the ability to have somebody who is kind of epitomizes what you think your country stands for.
For years, tensions have been boiling behind palace walls. But now, the truth is spilling out. King Charles and Princess Anne have always had a strong bond, but things aren't so smooth in recent times. Despite Charles' efforts to maintain harmony, Anne has never been one to hold back her thoughts on Queen Camilla. An explosive confrontation at Balmoral Castle finally shattered the illusion of unity within the monarchy. Why is Anne mad at Camilla? And how will King Charles handle the situation? Join us as we expose the latest issue rocking the British monarchy. Princess Anne's outburst in Balmoral Castle. Tensions have been flaring between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla for years. However, according to Pulse insiders, Anne and King Charles had worked behind closed doors to smooth over the brewing tensions for some time. For months, there were rumors that the situation was spiraling out of control, with Charles attempting to keep the peace, while Anne remained unwavering in her opinions. Despite these private efforts, the tension blew through the roofs when Anne and Camilla recently met at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. For those who don't know, Balmoral is the royal family's most private retreat in Scotland. According to eyewitnesses who don't want to be mentioned, Anne unleashed her fury away from the public eye, making it clear that old wounds had not healed and that certain truths could no longer be ignored. However, that is just half the story. The full details of what transpired between them all will shock you. Stay with us. What was supposed to be a routine private gathering for the British royals turned into the most spectacular debacle in the recent history of the royal family. Anne had something on her mind. Those who know her know that she is never one to tiptoe around the truth, and she didn't hold back when it came to her brother's wife, Queen Camilla. She told Queen Camilla that Queen Elizabeth never wanted her to be queen in the first place. If that wasn't enough, she clarified that the late queen had always believed Princess Kate was the real future queen consort. The words hit hard for Camilla, who had spent decades proving herself. She had worked to change public opinion, endured relentless criticism, and finally stepped into the role she thought she had secured. Then, out of nowhere, Anne shattered that illusion. This wasn't just about what was said, but about who said it. Anne isn't just Charles's sister. She is one of the most respected members of the royal family. When she speaks, the British people listen. What made it worse was the timing. This wasn't a conversation years ago when Camilla's position was still uncertain. She was already queen, wearing the title that had once seemed impossible. Yet Anne brought it all back, stirring up doubts that Camilla thought had long been buried. If there was any moment when Camilla finally felt at peace in her role, that moment was gone. Now, people are left wondering why Anne would say this now. Was it an emotional slip? An unfiltered thought spoken aloud? That seems unlikely. Anne is blunt, but she isn't careless. She chooses her words, and there's usually a reason when she speaks. Maybe this was just honesty, Anne being Anne, refusing to pretend things were different from how they were. Or perhaps it was something more calculated, like a reminder that just because Camilla wears the crown doesn't mean she's above question. Regardless of her intentions, the impact was immediate. Remember that Camilla has always been a controversial figure. Her relationship with Charles, her long road to public acceptance, and her historical place have never been simple. But over time, she had worked to reshape the narrative. She wasn't just the other woman anymore. She was queen. And now, Anne suddenly reminded everyone that her title wasn't built on tradition or destiny, but on compromise. That is not all. For years, Queen Elizabeth had made it clear that Camilla would only be known as Princess Consort. It was a careful decision that reflected public opinion and the complicated history of her marriage to Charles. But then, in the final years of her reign, something changed. The Queen gave her blessing for Camilla to take on the full title of Queen Consort. Many accepted it as a sign of final approval, a way to settle the debate. But now, with Anne's words pulling back the curtain, people are questioning what happened behind the scenes. It's hard to ignore how much this revelation shakes Camilla's standing. The royal family is built on stability, on the idea that things are meant to be exactly as they are. When someone as senior as Anne comes forward with a claim like this, it chips away at that image. It suggests that not everyone within the palace agrees with how things have played out. The reaction outside the palace was just as divided. Some saw Anne's comments as long overdue honesty, a rare moment of truth in a world full of careful wording and scripted responses. Others thought it was unnecessary, even cruel. After everything Camilla had been through, why bring this up now? But the conversation didn't stop there. It triggered a bigger debate about whether Camilla's place was truly earned or if it had been politically secured. The monarchy has always been a delicate balance of tradition and adaptation. Some roles are inherited by blood, while public acceptance and political decisions shape others. Camilla's title was never guaranteed. It was fought for, defended, and ultimately approved, but not without resistance. With Anne bringing Queen Elizabeth's true feelings into the conversation, the question of whether Camilla truly belongs in this role is back in the spotlight. But this isn't just about Camilla. It's also about Kate. If Queen Elizabeth saw her as the rightful queen consort, what does that mean for the future? And with this revelation, people are starting to wonder if the real future of the royal family doesn't lie with the woman currently on the throne, but with the one waiting in the wings. We'll get back to that soon. Before we talk about it, the media leaked the shocking details of a last-minute deal by Queen Elizabeth that sealed Camilla's fate with Charles. That is why no matter how much Anne wants her out, Camilla might remain queen for as long as Charles rules. The details of the deal will surprise you. Keep watching to find out more. The secret deal behind Camilla's queenship. According to recent leaks in the British press, Queen Elizabeth had made her wishes clear for years, and Camilla would never be queen. The official plan was that she would be called Princess Consort, a title carefully chosen to avoid controversy. The monarchy had always been about public image, and calling Camilla queen would have been a public relations nightmare. After all, Camilla wasn't just any royal wife. She was the woman many people blame for breaking up Charles and Diana's marriage. Giving her the full title of queen would have been seen as disrespectful, even unforgivable, by those who still loved Diana. But then, out of nowhere, Queen Elizabeth changed her mind. Just before her Platinum Jubilee, she announced that Camilla would be queen consort when Charles took the throne. It was a complete reversal of everything that had been understood before. The narrative had been controlled for years. Camilla was Charles's wife, but she would never hold the same status as a queen. And then, suddenly, that was no longer the case. Royal watchers pointed out that the timing was strange, and the lack of explanation made people wonder. Why would the queen change her stance after sticking to it for so long? Some believed it was a personal decision, a final act of kindness toward her son and his wife. But others weren't so sure. Rumors started swirling that this wasn't just about family approval. There may have been something else going on behind the scenes, like something that had little to do with love or loyalty, and everything related to royal survival. Many people didn't know that at the time of the Queen's announcement, the monarchy was dealing with one of its biggest scandals, Prince Andrew. His connections, legal troubles, and how the royal family protected him made headlines. It was a disaster. The Queen had already taken steps to strip him of his royal duties, but it wasn't enough. The public was furious, and every move the palace made was criticized. Some insiders believe that Charles saw an opportunity in all of this. If he could handle Andrew's situation and contain the damage, he could finally get what he had always wanted: Camilla as queen. The theory is that Charles stepped in behind the scenes, promising to take full responsibility for managing Andrew's crisis in exchange for his mother's official blessing for Camilla's title. And that is where things begin to get a lot more interesting. If this was true, then the Queen's change of heart wasn't a simple, personal decision. It was more of a deal. Regardless of how it happened, one thing was clear: Camilla's path to the throne wasn't traditional. Usually, royal titles are determined by centuries of protocol and history, not last-minute decisions or political maneuvering. That's what made this situation feel different. Had Camilla earned her position, or had it been arranged for her? Not everyone in the royal family was happy about it, and one of the most vocal opponents was Princess Anne. She had always been direct, no nonsense, and wasn't afraid to make her opinions known. When Charles married Camilla in 2005, Anne didn't go out of her way to welcome her. Unlike other royals, Anne refused to curtsy to her new sister-in-law. This wasn't a small act of defiance. It was a clear message. She didn't see Camilla deserving the same respect as other senior royals and wouldn't pretend otherwise. Anne's resistance didn't just come out of nowhere. She had a personal history with Camilla that went back decades. In the 1970s, both women were linked to the same man, Andrew Parker Bowles. He was Camilla's first husband, but before she married him, he had reportedly been involved with Anne. The details of what happened are murky, but it's believed that their relationships overlapped in a complicated way. Even though Anne and Camilla moved on, that awkward history never completely disappeared. When Camilla officially joined the royal family, Anne wasn't about to suddenly act like they were close. And Anne reportedly wasn't pleased when Queen Elizabeth reversed her stance on Camilla's title. To her, this wasn't just about family, but also about tradition. The Queen had set a precedent by deciding Camilla would only be princess consort, and now that was being undone. It didn't sit right with Anne, who had always been one of the most traditional members of the family. Then came Anne's recent revelation, the claim that Queen Elizabeth never wanted Camilla to be queen. If true, this changes everything. It means that even though the Queen publicly blessed her, it may not have been what she truly believed. She could only decide because she felt pressured or because other factors were involved, like the rumored deal with Charles over Andrew. For Camilla, this could shake the foundation of her entire reign. The monarchy depends on legitimacy, on people believing that those in power deserve to be there. If the public starts thinking that Camilla's title wasn't earned, but was instead the result of secret deals and backroom negotiations, it could change how she is seen forever. Even though the royal family tries to present a united front, the tension remains. The biggest question is this: if that rumored deal never happened, would Camilla still be queen today? If Charles hadn't worked to make it happen, if there had been no pressure, no negotiations, would Queen Elizabeth have ever changed her mind? Or would Camilla still stand in the background, never fully accepted or recognized? We may never get answers to these questions. However, they cast a shadow over Camilla's title. The rumors won't go away. And as long as people continue to wonder about what happened, her reign will always come with a shadow of a doubt. Anne's words may have been blunt, but they brought something to the surface that many people had already suspected. Camilla's path to the throne wasn't as smooth as it appeared, and now it is generating controversy again. Talk of controversy. What you are about to see now will change everything you thought you knew about Camilla's relationship with the whole family, not just Anne. King Charles and Camilla's relationship with other royals. We mentioned earlier that Queen Elizabeth originally wanted Kate Middleton to be her formal successor, so let's discuss Kate's relationship with King Charles' wife. Kate's rise to such an esteemed reputation in the royal family was no accident. From the moment she entered the scene, she carried herself with a quiet confidence that made people take notice. She didn't push boundaries, didn't try to overshadow anyone, and, most importantly, understood the importance of tradition. Queen Elizabeth's approval earned her the one thing that truly mattered in the royal world. That wasn't something handed out lightly. The Queen was known to be cautious about newcomers. But with Kate, things were different. There was trust. There was a sense that she belonged. On the other hand, Camilla had spent years trying to shake off the past. No matter how much time passed, she was always linked to the most painful chapter in the monarchy's modern history: her affair with Charles, the collapse of his marriage to Diana, and the scandal that followed. Every move she made was viewed in that light, sadly, to date. As for Kate, she didn't have to fight for approval. She got it naturally. The press loved her. The public saw her as the perfect royal wife. She was elegant, composed, and deeply committed. The difference between her and Camilla was impossible to ignore. While one had to claw her way into acceptance, the other quickly slipped into the royal world. That's where the quiet tension started. Palace sources admit that Camilla never entirely accepted Kate as an equal. She views Kate as an outsider who doesn't have the right background. On the other hand, Camilla came from an aristocracy, which mattered to some in royal circles. Kate's family was wealthy, but not noble. There were rumors that Camilla questioned whether Kate was royal enough to be queen one day. Of course, this was never spoken about openly, but behind closed doors, there was an unspoken divide. The media only made it worse. Kate was loved. Camilla was tolerated. No matter how much goodwill Camilla built up, that shadow was always following her. She wasn't Diana. She never would be. To some, she would always be the woman who caused heartbreak. Meanwhile, Kate had a different story. A woman who had captured the heart of a future king and fit into the role seamlessly. Then came the bigger issue, the brothers. William and Harry never fully accepted Camilla as King Charles's wife. It was one thing to be civil, it was another to see her as part of their family. They had lived through the worst of it. They saw the impact the affair had on their mother, the way the press humiliated her, and the way she suffered. Forgiveness wasn't easy. William, ever the dutiful one, kept his feelings private. Harry, however, made no secret of how he felt. He later claimed that Camilla worked with the press, leaking stories to protect herself and improve her public image, even if it meant throwing others under the bus. Whether true or not, it added to the sense that Camilla had played a long game that Kate never needed. Through it all, Kate handled things calmly and carefully without stirring drama. She helped William navigate his complicated feelings about his father's second wife. She kept things diplomatic, always maintaining the appearance of harmony. That didn't mean the tension wasn't there, but Kate knew better than to let it show. Everything might have continued like this: Camilla in her space, Kate in hers, until Princess Anne's recent revelation. It was like reopening an old wound when Anne spoke up about Queen Elizabeth's real thoughts on Camilla. It wasn't just about the late Queen's preference for Kate. It was a reminder that even within the royal family, there had been doubts about Camilla's place. It wasn't something the monarchy wanted out in the open, but now that it was, it changed everything. People began looking at Camilla's queenship differently. If Queen Elizabeth never truly wanted her to have the title, did that mean Camilla's position wasn't as secure as it seemed? And if the Queen had always seen Kate as the better fit for the future, what did that say about the direction the monarchy was heading in? Kate and Camilla had never openly clashed, but this revelation made the quiet rivalry more obvious. The public had already made their choice. Kate was the future. Camilla may hold the title of queen, but the people saw Kate as the true face of the next generation. And this is where the real power lies. A title can be given, but respect and loyalty must be earned. Camilla's place in history is now written, but Kate's influence is only beginning. The monarchy is about more than who sits on the throne. It is about who the people believe in. And as time progresses, Kate represents the stability and hope the royal family desperately needs. That's what makes this silent rivalry so important. It's about legacy. Camilla may have fought her way into the crown, but Kate is the one who will define the next era. And whether Camilla likes it or not, the people have already decided who they want as their queen. Now, the biggest question is, where does all these leave the royal family? Well, that's exactly what we are about to discuss next. And believe it or not, you don't want to miss this part of the Royal Rumble. Camilla and the royal family. Going forward, it is difficult to predict Camilla's future standing in the royal family. However, Anne did something recently that shocked everyone. She was at a public event with Camilla, and Anne publicly honored her by taking a bow. It sent a message that no one saw coming. Has she finally accepted Camilla as the queen? Well, not exactly. Anne had always been known for her loyalty to Queen Elizabeth's vision. She valued tradition, respected duty, and never seemed comfortable with Camilla's rise. Anne's action was more about honoring the tradition rather than the person. At another function, Camilla knelt before Anne to receive an honorary degree. It was a moment no one expected. Camilla, who had spent decades fighting for her place in the royal family, lowered herself before the woman who once refused to curtsy to her. Was this a sign that Anne had finally accepted Camilla's role? Or was it a well-planned moment to show unity when the monarchy needed it most? In the royal family, nothing is ever just a coincidence. Every gesture carries weight. For some, this was Anne showing that despite her past feelings, she was ready to acknowledge Camilla's place. For others, it looked like a strategic move, a necessary moment to reinforce stability. Camilla's legitimacy has been questioned from the very beginning. Even after she was crowned, there were still whispers about whether she truly belonged. Anne's public acknowledgement may not have changed everyone's minds, but it certainly means things are probably getting better. That is what makes the shifting dynamics within the royal family so interesting. Camilla is the queen, Kate is the future, and Anne and King Charles are caught right in the middle. Does this recent unity between Anne and Camilla mean old tensions are gone? Or is this just another moment carefully managed for the cameras? Royal history has shown that what happens behind palace doors doesn't always match what's seen in public. Anne, Camilla, and Kate each play a different role in the monarchy's future, and those roles will continue to evolve. Being the man caught in the middle of all these royal rumbling, King Charles has a delicate role to play. His wife, sister, and son's family have different priorities and relationships with the institution. His reign is still fresh, and how he manages these shifting dynamics will shape what comes next. But the monarchy's future isn't about Camilla in the long run. It's about Kate, and no matter how carefully the royal family plays it, one thing is clear. People are not comfortable with Camilla as queen. Not Kate, not Anne, not William or Harry. The queen has no allies. Thank you for staying with us. Share your opinions with us in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, click the following video on your screen, and you will enjoy it.